Well, Pasadena City College failed to reach agreement with teachers on a new contract to replace the one that expired June 30th. PCC spokesperson Juan Gutierrez joins us live to tell us what's next. Thanks for being here, Juan.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Well, so what are some of the main sticking points with the negotiations that have led to this impasse?
Well, as you know, the state budget in California is pretty bleak, not just for education, but everywhere. In fact, PCC has been cut millions of dollars over the last 2 years. And if the governor's tax initiative doesn't pass in November, we'll be cut another $6.7 million on top of trigger cuts from last year. So obviously, the college is looking at ways to be able to serve students and move forward. One of the biggest thing is to negotiate, now that contracts are up, with our union partners.
Now, does the university feel that the faculty is meeting them halfway in these, or how far do you think they have to go?
Well, it's a process. I mean, the initial proposal was from the district to the Faculty Association was in February. They still haven't come to the table, and we have to adopt a budget by law on September 15th. So it's one of those things that it's getting pretty critical that we come to the bargaining table and maybe have around-the-clock negotiations, because this has to move forward. We have to be able to serve our students.
Okay. Now, when we had talked to some of the faculty members, they said that the school has plenty of reserves, that they can cover the deficit, and if they don't want to go into the reserves, then they can go ahead and borrow money until state funds become available. Now, the university has gone ahead and done that, correct? And that's where you were talking about if the ballot measure doesn't pass in November, that's where the $6 million shortfall will be?
Well, that's a little misleading in that we've already borrowed from ourselves where we can, and we've also, the Board of Trustees have authorized a trans, which is basically a short-term loan, so that we can continue operations. There's a couple things going on here. The first is a cash flow problem. The state is delaying payments to the college, and we have to find the money, so we have to take out loans. The other thing is the state also cut our budget. So it isn't a thing of just, oh, we'll pay you later everything we owe you. In the past, as in January and February when we were cut $4 million, this year we may be cut again, so we can't count on that money coming at all. So we have to budget very prudently and make sure that we budget to what we think we're going to get. And there's no guarantee that the tax initiative is going to pass in November in any case.
Absolutely. Now, some of the other things that the teachers were saying that, despite plans for major cuts to teacher pay and classes, the board voted last week to hire additional managers and to increase payroll. How do you address them?
Well, there's a couple of things going on there. We're actually 90 positions down in the non-instructional faculty through retirements and freezing of positions. Just to give you an idea, 2 years ago, for a college the size of PCC, we had 65 managers. Until recently, we've had 39. That's a 33% loss in managers. And obviously, you need managers just like you need faculty and classified employees to move the college forward for planning, for moving forward with a lot of initiatives that we need for our accreditation and other things. And everyone's feeling the pinch. I mean, one of the things that the board is looking into is 2 weeks of furlough for non-faculty staff. So not teachers, just everyone else. So everyone's feeling the pinch, not just the faculty, everyone.
And in fact, do you think it's the students that are the big losers here? You have about 578 classes next year that are on the table to be cut. Do you think that they're still going to be able to get a good education?
It's just tough everywhere. The state, unlike UCs and CSUs, community colleges can't raise tuition and then open additional classes. We are very dependent on the state, and they're not just cutting our budget. They're saying we're going to cut the cap, how many students per year you can actually educate. So the state is cutting how many students we can educate. We have to make do and try to keep those cuts as far away from the classroom as possible. We've had some success, but now the budget is getting so dire. There's no meat on the bone anymore that it's going to affect classrooms, and we're coming up with new creative ways to be more resourceful.
Now, for some people, it's confusing to know that there's such high demand for a service, a product that you're offering, and usually, in the outside world, when there's that kind of high demand, that's great for a business. Why is that not great for PCC right now?
For what I just mentioned, in that if the demand's high, the state still mandates how many students we can actually educate. So say for a for-profit organization, they can just open additional sections, charge as much tuition as they want. At PCC, it's $46 a unit, which is a bargain, even compared to other community colleges out of state that are 130 or more. And we are really capped by the state. If the funding model could change, we could offer more. And a lot of colleges are looking to be able to offer more with less, or to be able to be a little more resourceful. And we're looking at everything right now.
Okay. Well, one of the things, there's an ongoing investigation by the LA County District Attorney's Office into Richard Van Pelt, who was the Chief Financial Officer, and obviously Al Hutchings. You know these names. Now, the teachers' associations believe that, because of the bribery charges that have been brought against these two, that there might be inaccuracies in the books, and, maybe that there are dollars out there that aren't being counted. What do you say to them?
Well, basically, the college is audited every year. And right now we're having an independent financial audit of our books, and nothing has turned up. And we hope that continues to be that way. These two individuals no longer work for the district. They've been let go. And any questions about the investigation should be directed to the LA County DAs. But as far as our budget, at this point in time, it's very accurate, and we're moving forward though it is.
Now, I understand that Van Pelt's next position will be split you're going to be splitting it up into. How would that deter what had happened?
Well, basically, to be honest, when you mentioned about hiring managers, two of the managers that are being hired were positions that were frozen due to the budget and due to retirements. So a fiscal officer and a business services officer, which were there, but they retired. So by adding these folks, it creates another layer of oversight. So it's one of those, catch-22 things. The budget's bad, we can't hire people, but we need to hire people in order to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to and being good stewards of the college. So it's very important to have these positions in place so that we can move forward and gain the trust again of the community.
Okay. Now, not too long ago, there was a report released of the salaries of all the employees at PCC, and it turns out that many of the teachers were some of the highest paid employees there. Number 2 ranking or wage earner was the adjunct professor or associate professor.
I'm not familiar, but I know what you're talking about.
Of video studies, I believe it was, film and video studies. And, some earning $70,000 just for overload classes, basically taking on additional classes outside of their semester. Is that how it works?
Yeah, there's a couple components to that. There's a faculty member's base salary if you're a full-time faculty member. There's also something called large group instruction where you get additional pay if it's a larger group, and we do have those in general education. And then there's something called overload. If you teach sections or classes above what you're contracted to do, then you get additional pay on top of that.
How did that go unnoticed that some of these teachers were making $70,000 above their base pay?
Well, the contract was negotiated in 2007 when money was a little more affluent than it is now. When we were looking for students, so we were trying to get more students to PCC instead of the problem we have now where there's so much demand but no classes. So as everything started moving, and it's kind of fortuitous that we're in this position to renegotiate with the FA and other union partners to be able to come up with something that helps the faculty, helps the district, and especially helps the students.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's there's two sides to that where some people gasp, "Oh my gosh, how could some of the faculty be making almost as much as the administration?" On the other side, people say, well, why not? Why wouldn't they be the ones making that kind of money? Some of them might be attracting some of the students that are coming to the university. What's the balance as far as their pay?
Well, like I said, it's under the old contract that we're trying to renegotiate, but also it comes down to economics. There's something called adjunct faculty, which are hourly faculty that come in to teach individual courses, and for the most part, it's more economic to have them come in, and these are they're vetted individuals, so they're qualified to teach, and they can usually teach a course at a much lower rate than a full-time faculty member. Full-time faculty members are very good at what they do, and when we're looking at seats for students, you got to find the balance between full-time faculty and adjunct faculty so that students get the most seats that we can offer under the current budget from California.
Especially when students might be coming for those star professors out there.
Well, absolutely. It's one of those things where when the economy goes bad, our demand goes up, yet our budget does not go up from the state. So that's something that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay. Well, I know that September 5th deadline is coming for this budget, so we'll definitely be following this story and hope to have you back with good news there.
It'd be my pleasure.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, Juan.
Thank you.